Welcome back, everyone. The video you're about to watch is part of a live stream series that I do on Twitch where I teach people how to build an Android app from start to finish by building a task management application. I've removed the episode numbers from the videos because it's designed that each one can be consumed individually. Each week, I pick a particular topic or feature and focus on just that for the live stream. If you are interested in watching the full playlist, check out the links in the description below. But if you just found this one and it intrigues you, I hope you enjoy it and let me know what you think. Welcome back, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Thank you all for joining me this week. Sorry that I am late. It is because I am never prepared in life. And I pretty much only use my personal laptop once a week at this point, which is to stream. And I haven't touched it since last stream, so it was completely dead when I went to start. And I had to give it a little bit to get some bit of charge so we could get started. Um, yeah, welcome back. I'm excited. We're going to play around with some adaptive layouts in Compose today because that was something that um, I've been inspired to try out. This actually came from like the other day when I was cooking. I was like, I'm gonna give podcasts a try because I always think I'm gonna try to enjoy podcasts, and so I was looking at the Android Developers Backstage podcast, the ADB podcast, and they had a section on like large screens, so I was listening to that. It was a really interesting conversation, and so I wanted to play around with some of that idea. So I thought that we could yeah, spend some time on that in our TOA application this week. Um, Other announcements before I started. So I gave a little bit of a explanation last week on why I'm like still deciding to stream. I know some people have made the decision not to stream right now given current events, and that's kind of why you've probably seen me tweeting a little less right now. But I still want to stream. I think there's a time and a place for like distractions and getting away from all of the terrible media that we have to consume. Well, not even just the media, but as a result of the terrible events that are happening. But I have always said that I want to take the money that I make from Twitch and donate it. Because really, I do this because I enjoy streaming, I enjoy all the educational content. So I took my most recent Twitch payout and I uh, took the idea from the team that works on Code with the Italians, and I donated all of that, about 116 US dollars, to the Ukrainian Red Cross. So for those of you who are sub to the channel or you have ever done bits, like that is kind of what that money goes to, as well as supporting the channel and helping it grow, and I appreciate that. So I just wanted to let you all know that was something that I did. So if anyone watching has ever wondered, why would I sub to a coding live stream channel, that is one of the reasons. Um, so yeah, and you know, it's a small stream. The payouts are few and far between, but the next one, whenever it comes in, we will probably do the same thing with that. Um, yeah, that was exciting. So I guess we can switch over to coding, although I just have to point this out because I noticed it in the webcam. You can see the beginnings of my Lego Hogwarts that I've been working on for like 2 weeks, and this is half of it. Um, there's still another half left that needs to be built. I have no idea where I'm going to put that thing when it's done. It's going to be absolutely massive. I'm super excited. Uh, so yeah, let's switch over to the coding view. Um, I think part of what kills my battery is my Stream Deck, so I unplugged that, and so now I'm trying to figure out how to do everything without my handy buttons right in front. Um, so let's talk about adaptive layouts. So what does that really mean if people are unfamiliar with that topic? Well, um, as Android's kind of been making a push for this recently, as well as like large screens in general, because we're getting a whole bunch of new form factors out there, right? We're getting foldable phones. We're seeing a resurgence in tablets, the ability for desktops to run Android apps. So it's becoming increasingly important that we make it so that our applications can run on all of these different screen sizes. And the word adaptive comes from being able to make it so that our apps can adapt or change to all of those different screen sizes. And with the app that we've been building live on stream, that's not really something we've talked about yet. Um, so I think maybe we'll go into Android Studio really quick and we'll talk about some of the problems that we face as a result of not thinking about this. Um, and then we can come back to uh, like this documentation and how we can do better. But let me show y'all what kind of problems that we face by like words. Let me show y'all why this is such an important topic. If I look at our task list content, let's pull up the split view here. So this is the screen that shows our list of tasks um, inside of the words. Inside our app, it's going to take a while for the previews to load. This is classic Compose preview problem. So let me talk through a little bit of what we can do here. So for Jetpack Compose previews, you may have seen these. We've talked about them a bit on the stream, but anytime I want to preview what my composable stuff looks like, I can create a function that I annotate with this preview annotation. And I can give some configurations like, is it night mode? Is it day mode? And we can stack these, right? So we can have as many different previews as we want. Now, this screen is already bloated because we've got a whole bunch of task list view states that are all different. But let's make this even worse and let's add more previews for different device sizes. And there's a couple ways we can do this with the preview annotation. So one is well, let me look at the annotation. Maybe I can show you. So we could give it an actual device name and have it render for like that specific device. But another thing we can do actually is we can give like the width DP onto the preview annotation. So we can specify like the actual width of the device we want to see a preview for. So I looked at the docs that I'm going to show you later around what are the different sort of buckets that they want us to care about. And we typically see in the document, I'm just going to show it, that we see this window size where they've broken them down into 3 buckets: compact, medium, and expanded. Compact would be your typical phone screen, taller than it is wide, not super wide. Medium would be maybe like a small tablet, potentially landscape on a lot of phones, and then expanded being larger tablets, extended foldable phones, things like that. And I don't think it's in this doc, but somewhere there is a collection of what the breakpoints are. I'm going to pull that up on my other screen. But what we can do is we can just create a preview for each of those breakpoints. So like a compact phone, it should max out with DP at 600 dips. Okay. And then we could have medium, which has a width of a max of 840. And then anything higher than that would be expanded. And here we'll just put like, I don't know, 900. So if I take this and... Oh boy. Is my IDE stuck on rendering previews again? If I can get the IDE to re-render my previews, we can look at this. Okay, here we go. We're getting some stuff. So now we can actually see pretty clearly some of the problems that we'll face. Oh god. This is the downfall of having way too many previews. So we can see the small ones up here, but we can see through some of these bigger ones, I might even have to zoom in a little bit, that we have some... Oh my god, I have so many previews. This is making my IDE so slow. Alright, give me 1 second. I am going to go into here, where I create the list of previews. I'm going to comment out some of these lines so that my previews only render the loading, or the task list state. But we can start to see how the UI, I don't want to say falls apart, but creates like a not great user experience. Like here, everything, this toolbar is very stretched, with these buttons being so far to the right and left. And then if I go to like an expanded screen down here, it's going to be even worse. These buttons are so far apart. Um, why can't I see the task list screen? The task list version. I don't know why the task cards aren't rendering. Um, huh. They should be there. But what we would see if the cards did render is that the cards would like fill the max width of the screen. That would also be not great. So this is again sort of the problems that we run into if we don't think about adaptive layouts and optimizing for larger screens. So what I thought would be a fun adventure tonight is to take this task list screen, take these three buckets that we have, and see if we can modify the UI to be a little nicer for each of these situations. So I made a GitHub issue to support this, number 113. So I'm going to make a new branch to do so. Let's do TOA 113, adaptive task list screen. And what I'm going to do now is after I showed you how we can modify our preview function to see all those different types, I'm going to go ahead and commit the code that we have here so I can then move forward into actually tracking it. So adding device size previews. And hopefully my IDE will eventually catch up to the fact that I have changed my previews. It's always fun. I think it kind of worked. Um, something wonky is going on because of the fact that it's not rendering anything. And do I have a bug? Is that possibly on purpose? Um, I might need to run this on a physical device and see if that is why. Give me 1 second. Um, entirely possible that my previews aren't working because of a bug, but I don't think so. I love the wireless debugging with the QR code. Um, oh, check the red arrow icon. Oh, I didn't even see that was there. Um, oh God, interesting. Key was already used. If you're using a lazy column, make sure there's an item for each row. Okay, that could make sense. Let's look at our lazy column here. That's in this file. Arthuria, thank you for the follow. Um, oh, interesting. Okay. Oh no, it was a legitimate issue. Great catch, Steve. Um, so you're right. So when I set the tasks, I give each one a key based on the task ID. So if I go look at my preview, um, where I create the dummy tasks, oh, the ID is just, I see. I'm giving the ID the index, but the problem is I'm showing like two different lists here, so it's the same. So let's do something like incomplete task index. And then here we could do complete the task index. And now if I try to re-render our previews, interesting. And that would explain why my app wouldn't crash because this is a bug in my preview code. Um, okay, so I changed that. I need the previews to rebuild, and then we'll be good. Um, great catch. I totally didn't even see this icon was up here telling me something was wrong. Um, cool. So I could move forward, but I want y'all to like see what I'm worried about before I move forward. That would help. Um, but let's see if there was anything in the docs that I wanted to call out. Well, one thing I wanted to point out to start, and shout out to Steve for helping me think about this earlier, is when we look at the docs for adaptive layouts and we think about them in general, one of the first things we're going to see that comes up a lot is the Jetpack Window Manager library, which is a library to help us like observe window metrics and see what size is available for our application to render in, and that's really important. That definitely has its place. But we need to be careful about thinking about when we use this window size class. That works well for our root composables, right? So if we've got like the base composable inside of our activity and we want to observe the window size so we can configure things inside of it, that's really good. But for other composables, let's say like you have a button and you want the button to behave differently based on the size of the screen. Really, what you might be thinking there is, well, how much available space do I have for the button? And that is what I want to adapt to. And that's something we're going to look at here. What I think is like a good place to start. But I just wanted to call that out ahead of time. That's something really good to keep in mind and think about. So let's talk about some ideas I had for handling that. So here are our previews now. So this is the compact version on a phone. This looks good, if you ask me. We see our incomplete test, our completed test. Everything is max width, which looks pretty good on a compact device. But then when we go up a little bit, or this is also compact, I guess, but when we go up to medium, this stretch doesn't feel so good, right? Like this is just really long cards. There's all this empty space in the middle. You know, the floating action button, it's like not the worst thing. We could probably increase the padding there. Um, but then it's just everything is stretched out. And this is very clear that like we designed this for a phone. It's not really optimized for these larger screens. So we can do better. Now, a great question to ask is, well, how can we do better? Right, and what should we do differently if we're in, say, an expanded state? And there's a few different options for this. Maybe we go into like a list detail view where I have a list of tasks on one side and some additional information on the other side. Um, what I thought would be worth playing around with as like an introduction to creating some sort of like adaptive composable is I thought of the way sometimes people build in the web world where they kind of design for like a phone and then on the larger screens they just add more margin on the sides. So a great example of this, I'm not going to pull mine up, but a great example is like twitter.com. Like Twitter has a couple sidebars, but your feed is pretty much fixed to the middle of the screen. And then you don't realize how much space there is on the sides, you know? And so I thought we could do something like that. What if we change the size of this lazy column so that on a larger screen, it would go down the middle? So to show you a quick example, just to hard code this for the preview's sake, so here, where I create the task list and I give it this padding, what I'm going to do for the task list, I'm going to do fill max width. It'll let me, but I'm going to say take up half the screen. When I build and refresh this, actually, I might have two issues here. One might be that it doesn't center itself, but we can talk about that. Um, but this is one way to do it. You can give it like a fraction of the screen to fill up, and then it should adjust its size based on that. I just have to wait for the previews to run. I think the problem with what I just did is that it's not going to like center itself, so we're going to see the cards take up like half the screen and then just be all the way to the left. Let's verify that. Um, yeah, but maybe you could start to see how if we could take that list, the way we just shrunk it, and center it on these larger screens, it still leaves a lot of empty space that one could argue, and I'll definitely preface this stream by saying might not be the best user experience, But I think it's a start, a way to begin thinking about this. So, how do we do that? That's naturally that's a great question. So, how do we do that? Well, we looked at how we could integrate the window manager library, and we could try to consume some sort of window metrics and do something based on that, which for our application could work because this is kind of like a root level composable. But I think another way to think about it is to do something based on the amount of space that's available to us. Um, so just give me a moment. I'm pulling up some docs on the other screen. And we can actually do that with creating our own custom modifier. I think that would be a great place for us to start and talk about how we could use that. So I'm going to go into my core UI, and let's put this in its own file. And let's call this, what did I call it? Adaptive width modifier. And so we'll create a function, a modifier function. So this needs to be an extension on modifier, where we can do adaptive width. And we'll do something with that in a second. But let's document what we want to do with this custom modifier that we're going to write. So the custom modifier that will change the width of a composable based on the amount of space available to it. Um, Centering the composable within that available space as well. So um, we could put some examples here. So for like, if the screen is a compact, or if the available space is within the compact bucket, we will fill the maximum width. If the available space is within the medium bucket, we will fill 75% of the maximum width. And then we could say if the available space is within the expanded bucket, we will fill 50% of the maximum width. Is this the part where we use ML to convert that Java doc to a real implementation? Yeah, exactly. And if by machine learning you mean I read line for line where I've already done this on my third monitor, yes, that is exactly what we do. Um, Sometimes I figure things out live, but thanks to you, I figured this out like 6 hours ago. So now we're just gonna repeat it. But okay, so how do we do this? Well, there is a modifier function already called layout, which is really cool. This gives us, let's put this on another line. So this layout gives us a measurable, which you could kind of think, this might not be the most technical words, but you can kind of think of this as the thing that needs to be displayed. So like this is like your component. And then you get some constraints, which are information about like the available space. So having said that, that's the first thing we're going to do is let's figure out the width ratio of what we want to display. Kind of using those comments I just highlighted. So we can do a when statement here. So we could say when constraints.max width is less than or equal to, let's do 600 dp 2 pixels. If that is true, let's use the full ratio. If our max width is less than or equal to 840, then we want to use our medium, which is 7.5. And then otherwise, we're going to use half the screen. And we'll clean this up after. Let's keep writing the hard-coded values, but I definitely want to move those to constants. So now that we know our width ratio, like the percentage of the available space we want to use, we can figure out what is our like calculated width to use. So we can say width to use, let's call it that, is going to be our max width times that width ratio. So this will basically say, okay, if we have 100 dp that we can fill, multiply it by 1 means we fill all 100. Multiply it by 0.5 means we fill 50 dp of that. So now we could say, we can get some new constraints where we basically take the existing constraints and we copy them. But here we'll set our min width to the width to use and our max width to the width to use. And that basically says, like, okay, well, now I'm setting these constraints to force the width to be whatever I just calculated, right? Um, so now we can get our placeable, what we want to place on the screen, which we basically take that component, that measurable, and then we call dot measure with these new constraints. And that collects the information about, okay, now here's what I want to display, here are my constraints. Now it gives me something that I can place on the screen. And that's the last thing we need to do. Um, we'll have to do one more thing, but let me get rid of the red lines here. So we finish that by calling layout. We give it the width and the height of what we want to lay out. So here, you think you could do placeable.width, placeable.height. This will be wrong, but let me tell you why. And then what you do is inside that layout, you basically place your item, and then you give it the x and y values to use. And x being how far from the start or from the left. I think here it's literally left, and then y is how far from the top. But there's a couple things that are missed here, and I wanted to get rid of the red lines so I could tell you what was missed. The first thing being to think about the layout that we're trying to place here. Because while it may seem that we want to take the width of what we're placing as well as the height, remember in our docs we said we want to fill that maximum width, but then we'll center our component as necessary. But we do technically want to take up that whole space, so we can adapt based on that. So the width of our layout should actually be constraints.max width. But in order to do the centering portion, we can't start at x equals 0. We need to set x to, well, I guess wherever it would start to take up that center of the screen. So how do we get that? Well, we just have to do some math. The first thing is, based on the width, we're going to have margins on each side, right? Let's calculate what that total margin is. So total margin would basically be our max width minus the width of what we want to place. So if we say we have 100 dp available and our item's going to take up 50 of that, we're going to have in total 50 dp margin. 25 at the start, 25 at the end. So the first thing is figure out what that total margin is by taking the difference, and then we can get our start margin by basically doing total margin divided by 2. And so if we shift our composable by that starting margin, we are effectively centering it in that available space. So we can do start margin.toInt. And that's it. I know this looks complicated. This sort of code would have freaked me out like several days ago, honestly, as recently as that. But this is basically all there is to it. It seems complicated to work at this level on placing things, but I think if you really break them down step by step, you can get there. So I did say I wanted to clean this up a little bit. So here's what I want to do. So the first thing is I want to specify what these ratios are and not have any magic numbers here. So let's do compact width ratio would be 1f. Medium width ratio being 7.5. And then expanded width ratio being 0.5. So then we can replace these numbers down here with what they actually represent. And I want to do the same for those dp values in case we change that as well. So let's do something like uh, words. So let's say compact, max compact width DP would be 600. And then we can say max medium width DP would be 840. Um, I don't know if I should set 600 as the max or like 599 and then 600 be the new bucket. Um, Welcome, Raphael. Thanks for coming back. We'll use that for now. We are working on adaptive layouts in Jetpack Compose. So let me show you this. We're so close to having this something to show off here. So, this was a bad example. Let me refresh my previews. We were talking about how the way the app works now, when you have these different screen sizes, is that everything is always just stretched to the max width, which works well on a phone, but doesn't look so nicely on expanded devices when the cards go all the way to the edge of the screen. So, we're trying to build our own custom modifier to, based on the available space, change the width of that list and then center it within that available space if necessary. So, so here are our stretched cards, and you're very close to seeing us prove that we've fixed it by creating our own adaptive width modifier that basically does all that math. And I can run through it here after. One second. Cool utility if you want to avoid manually calculating the X position. Um, you could do align. Oh, interesting. The formatting sucks. I get it. Let me copy that, and then let me see if we can look at that. Um, oops. So, can I? How do I do this though? Where do I put that align call? Um, that's what I don't know. Where does that align call live? We'll come look at that in a second, though. Let's test out that we've actually made this work. Um, oh, oh, I see. It goes on alignment. Oh, interesting. Oh, I see. So you can say center horizontally align. You give it a size and a space. Oh, interesting. And then I can get rid of these lines. Okay, we'll see if that works. That's pretty cool. Okay, so anyways, we've got all that. We've documented this. We've split up to constants. I want to keep using those. Max compact width DP. Yeah, I'm gonna say less. That yeah, we'll keep equals. Cow God, thank you for the follow. That's a Midwest name if I've ever seen one. Welcome. Um, okay, I think I might change this logic after we prove that this works. Um, it's okay, I get it. It's late for y'all. I appreciate it. Um, so, where I want to apply this modifier is on the list itself, not on the list items, but on the list. So, here where we create the task list, I'm going to give it adaptive width modifier. Let's build our previews and let's see what we get. Yeah, I had no idea that they did the math. I literally thought the alignment modifiers were just. I also thought they were just enums, and that something else did the math based on that value. All right, here we go. refresh my previews. Did it work? It worked. So here we could see our compact version, medium, and expanded. So again, you could debate that like this isn't the best option, but it definitely feels nicer to me to have these like kind of centered in the middle. Sure, we've got some white space, but I like this more than having the cards stretched so far away, you know. So that's something that I really like. I'm going to change our preview slightly here. I'm going to get rid of, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to um, get rid of the compact one, because that's essentially the same as above. And let's do like, let's change these so that 840 is expanded, and then medium we could just make like 700 or something. I'm going to go back in here, and I'm not going to make these less than or equal to. I'm going to make them less than. Um, so um, maybe I'll change these to, I don't know. Is this weird? No, this looks weird. If I made them 599 to 839, that looks weird. So um, let's do min, medium with DP, and let's do min expanded with DP. That's what we can name those. Okay, so now we might have to rebuild those, but that should, oh god, what did I break? Okay, those still look good. Awesome. So let's commit this. This is a great start. So we could say adding custom modifier uh, to create adaptive width of lazy column. Um, there's definitely more we could do on this screen. We talked about changing maybe the way the top bar behaves. Um, I don't know. Do expanded phones move the floating action button? I think the answer to that is no. Um, uh, I think sometimes on larger screens they have a little more padding, so they're not that close to the edge. Question mark. Um, I don't know. Do I do have a tablet. I can pull up my tablet and see what the floating action button does on some other apps. I'm curious. Um, no, I've got to let it turn on, but um, we could. I could show the two lists side by side. That is definitely something we could look at. Um, that would be an interesting debate. Before we do that, maybe we keep going with this centered idea for now. I was thinking about these buttons. Do you think the buttons should stay over in the corners, or do you think the buttons should align with the list? Oh yes, I've inspired even Prince. That is a level I did not think I would get to. Um, I was thinking about what it would mean if we made these bars um, basically the same as the task, or same as the task list. So what if these took up 50% of the screen? Um, or if that would be weird to have them in the middle. Is it helpful to have the day buttons in the corner? Let's hear us and let's try it out just for fun. Because it with our custom modifier, this would not be hard for us to test at all. Here's our toolbar, right? We have a surface that is the primary thing, and then we have this row that has a whole bunch of stuff. But on the row, we could put the adaptive width right there. And let's just see what it looks like. It's one line. We'll try it out. Cool. My tablet has started up. Um, let's see. Oh man, I haven't used this in so long. I still have the OkCupid app on the home screen. Let's see. What apps use floating action buttons? Gmail would. Um, Do, 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 do. Huh, no, I guess their floating action button is still like far into the right corner. Um, yeah, okay. I think that used to be a thing, that the floating action button would have different spacing. Hey, Soy Llamas, welcome back. Um, so your recap. We are basically playing around with adaptive layouts and trying to change what is on the screen based on the available space that we have. And what we've done so far is we wrote our own custom Jetpack Compose modifier to modify the width of something and center it based on the available space that we have. So on these large expanded screens, we set the width to like 50% and then we center it. So we have this nice spacing on each side, but it looks a little nicer than having cards that stretch from edge to edge. And then on a medium screen, it's the same idea, just like slightly less margins. And then on a phone, we fill up the whole available space. So what do you think, chat, having moved the buttons as well into the middle? Do we like this? Do we hate it? Um, would should I try to go into that two-pane version instead? Um, I don't know what y'all think. Um, I kind of like the buttons right there. I think that I think that looks good. Um, I wonder if I can. Oh no, it's not USB-C. Um, Wireless debugging is only a thing on like Android 11 and up, right? So I don't think I could get my tablet um to do this. I'm just double checking. Uh, wow, do I even have oh, oh my god, this thing's on Android 6. Guess I've had this for a while. Um, okay. We will keep the buttons there. Um, cool. Then I guess that's it. Yeah, stream is over. I'm just kidding. Um, we'll say adaptive alignment for toolbar as well. Okay. No, but this is a good start. We could definitely merge this. Uh we could look at the other screens within the application. Actually, great point. I found a bug in our application today. Um and let me show y'all what it was. I need a second app to test this out. Just to show y'all what it was. Okay. Let me get let's commit this. Let's make a pull request of what we did, and then I'll show you the other bug that I found. Um, and we can fix it while we look at this for other screens as well. So, where was I going? Stream history. Handy dandy stream history file. Um, oh my god, I need to fill in stuff from last week still and upload last week's YouTube video. We'll get there. Stream 22. Adaptive layouts. So, in this stream, we looked at adaptive layouts in Jetpack Compose and updated some screens accordingly. So PRs, we're going to have adaptive task list screen, YouTube coming soon. Also, let's do resources. I'm going to drop the adaptive layouts document in here for people to use. Okay, updating stream history. And let's get our pull request going. And while it's running, we can look at some other screens. But basically, the bug I found, I'll just tell y'all while I'm doing this. So I was looking at adaptive layouts, and one thing I thought of was split screen development. And so I never use split screen on my phone. I'm sure it's really cool on like larger devices, but I went to try it out, and I found out that our add task screen doesn't scroll. And so it works well on a phone that's tall enough, but if you're in split screen, you literally cannot add a new task um, because it just doesn't scroll. You get stuck with like one input visible. Um, yeah. So adding adaptive width modifier and um, adjusting task list screen. Do, 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 do. I think I had a check for my PR descriptions to not be empty, so I'm just going to put that in there. This will be design. Um, this can go in the, oops, not milestone. Projects. This can go into design branding. We could put here fixes number 113. Create pull request. Cool. So just checking this out. That's our modifier, and that's where it's all used. Fix the previews. Oh, I guess before we move on, we could uh, uncomment these, and we could look at all of our states on the larger screens again. Not all of them are implemented, as we talked about, but we can still see. I'm not sure if there's something I would change about, say, our empty state. Maybe our empty state should also have the same spacing. Um, let's check. There's a lot of previews here, so this is going to take a second. Maybe too many previews. This is our error state, which we know is not rendered. So, like, this is our empty state, where the empty state label also fills the screen. Um, Maybe we shouldn't do that. So now it's got me wondering, you know, it's got me wondering. Let's look at our composable here. So everything inside of here, we show like, if we show loading, we have our progress indicator. Otherwise, we show like our empty state and our task list. I guess I was wondering if I should put like, I don't want to put it on the scaffold itself. I want the scaffold to fill the available space. I guess I was thinking out loud on whether or not I'm duplicating this modifier in too many places and whether it should exist in the root somewhere, but I kind of like being explicit and only using it where we need it. Uh, that's kind of my take on that. So even though it'll be now in 3 different spots, I'm okay with that. So I just want to see the preview rebuild. I want to see this empty state, but I'm almost positive it will work adaptive empty state with. And let me get my phone on the screen so I can show you all the other bug that I found. Nice. So I pushed that. We're still waiting on these to re-render. Oh, huh. Wait, did I? This is interesting. Did I break this? Was this film max size before? It was interesting. So the adaptive width is cool. Um, the adaptive width is definitely cool, but um, that doesn't change anything about the height. So, but personally, I do like being explicit by adding the modifier per content rather than once on a parent. It lets us have exceptions where maybe a designer wants to put a full bleed animation outside the bounds of our width. Yeah, agreed. Um, so okay, I think here I want the empty state to fill the available space, and maybe it's actually the text itself that I should have put the adaptive width on. Ah, excuse me, sorry. Let's try that. I got ahead of myself. I made that commit assuming that it was going to work. Um, I'm sure this will load soon. I do like. I complained about the load time, but I like that I can create so many previews like this. I have one preview function that renders 16 different previews. Like, that's pretty cool. Also, related to all this large screen stuff, in the podcast I was listening to, they talked about how they are working on something that they called a visual lint. So the idea was basically that like the way we have lint to perform like a static analysis of our code, we could have something that renders the UI and looks for common issues. I imagine it being kind of like the accessibility scanner on how it looks at like the height of certain composables and it's like, hey, your touch area is wrong. Like I imagine it's sort of an automatic tool like that. I think that would be really cool. I don't know exactly what its capabilities or checks would be, but I'm definitely interested in following that storyline to see what they bring us. That would be really cool. Okay, so we have fixed that. We have an adaptive screen now for a task list based on the available space. That's super exciting. So now I want to talk about another thing that's kind of related to adaptive layouts, which is this split screen bug that I found. So let's run the app on my, whoops, Pixel 6 Pro here. Um, that's the thing because I'm not actually running. That's my fault. Okay, cool. Let's put it over here. Okay, so I found this out. So if I took this and I said split screen, give another app, I don't know, let's put settings down there. So this screen will scroll, which is good. But as soon as I go to add a task, um, this screen does nothing. Oh, you can't see touches. Let me turn those on. Oh, I already had settings open on the bottom. Okay, so now you can see it. So yeah, this screen does nothing. So let's fix that. Oh god. Well, I guess rotation is a good way to test things too. Um, oh, interesting. What is going on? Um, sorry, I'm just playing around with this to see. Oh, interesting that it works that way. Um, yeah, that looks good. I actually just noticed. Can you see how these cards are different sizes? Um, I don't like that. That feels wrong. Why is the empty state card not max width? Did I do this? Um, anyways, I'm just going down a rabbit hole. Sorry. Thanks for humoring me. Let's get this back to this split screen. So I want to fix the fact that this screen doesn't scroll. So let's check out a new branch for this. Scrollable add task screen. Now this should be a quick fix, but I'm also interested in looking at that add task screen and how that looks on different device sizes. So I'm going to copy our preview annotations for medium and expanded. We're going to go into add task content, and we're going to add those here as well. Let's get our phone out of here. Um, but the easiest way to do this actually, so this whole thing is a column of a bunch of stuff, and on the column we can just do vertical scroll modifier. Um, and then remember scroll state. I can just inline that because I don't plan on using it. Um, so if I run this now, that should fix the issue. Uh, which is a really quick one. Um, oops, let's get back into split screen here. No? What? Okay, that scrolls. See, so now the add task screen will scroll. So I could still. Huh. Oh, that technically works. That's a little weird, but that works. Okay. Um, nice. Easy fix there. Um, vertical scroll for add task content. Um, let's figure out why those previews couldn't be displayed in a second. And then we'll also, sorry, we're multitasking, we're doing a lot here. Let's check in on our pull request. But there's no way that's done yet. Ooh, we got a lot of version updates. Oh, there's already a patch to Compose 1.1.1? I didn't know that. Anyone know what's different? Um, fixes some null pointer exception, crash caused by clipboard content, fixes RTL and lazy vertical grid, bug fixes. That makes sense. Um, yeah, we've still got stuff running. Uh, so let's see if this. Nice. These previews are rendered now. Um, so we've got the same problem here. Ooh, modifier.onPlaced. No, you're not derailing us at all. This is why we do live streaming. Let's look at it. Version 1.2. So we can just scroll through. Let's see if it's mentioned in here. Okay. Uh, oh wait, this is in maybe you had a typo. Is this supposed to be in 1.1? Um, modifier.onPlace to allow placement change to be observed. Additional changes to child modifier's offset can therefore be made based on the observed placement change. Interesting. Let's see if they have a high level on what's in 1.2. I haven't looked at it. Animated placement demo? Ooh, okay, hold on. Let's look at it. Um, should I look at the demo file? Oh, maybe that's an animated placement. Okay, there's a lot going on here. I wish I could visually see this. Maybe I copy this and run it. Um, huh, I'm just looking at the. So they remember the alignment, and then they have this animated placement modifier, on place modifier. Basically, it lets you animate layout changes for anything via a simple modifier. No matter how your layout works or what the content is, it smoothly animates. Interesting. So we did look at in a recent stream. Let me show this off real quick on our phone. We did look at the experimental item animations that are in 1.1. So when I click done on this incomplete task, we're going to see a default animation where it like slides over to the bottom section. I can make another one to show that again. Um, and it doesn't matter, like if there's more than one, this still happens. Maybe if more than one, it's cool to see. So when I hit this, we see like they all automatically reshuffle. That's strictly by using inside the task list. It's literally just a one-liner thing. Trying to find it for you. On the lazy column. No, what's oh, you have to put it on the item. You have to give it a key, and then you can do animate item placement on the list item. That's how you do it. Um, but yeah, I'm loving Compose. I'm loving all the cool things it can do for us and how quickly they're coming out with new cool things. Um, so let's go back to adaptive layouts in terms of this add task screen. Because here we have the same quote unquote problem where on the larger screens, everything is just stretched. Um, and yeah, I don't know. Is it as simple as just keep going and adding the same modifier over and over again? Um, let's try it out. Let's build and refresh and see how it looks. Maybe we just keep going with this idea, especially on the add task screen. So I do like the idea of maybe considering a multi-pane layout for like the main screen, the task list screen. But for inputs, like I'm not gonna multi-pane the input. Um, so maybe it does make sense to just, shrink everything, um, and take up that extra space where we can. We're just gonna have to wait for everything to run. Classic. Um, by the way, while I'm making plugs, we are 2 followers away from 700. So if anyone's watching and they're not following the channel, uh, we are so close to a milestone. Raphael said, I've worked on a project before where we use a dialogue when in tablet for this sort of thing. That's an interesting take. I can see that. Um, huh. But only, interesting. Huh. Interesting. Which would be smaller and your list would still be behind it. Or I suppose, like, on a big screen, that could be the second pane. When I add a task, maybe I show. That would be weird, I think. Um, that dialogue thing would be cool to try in this project. It definitely could be. Um, okay. Okay. I can roll with this. Yeah, let's try it out. Okay, let's roll back that change I just made really quick. Um, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back to our. Do we have nothing? Um, oh, we can ignore those. Uh, let's go back to our last branch. And that vertical scroll bug fix, um, uh, actually, let's put that up here. Where we do it here. Um, so I'm gonna put that vertical scroll bug fix on the open PR. Um, and then I'll make a new branch for the dialogue, just to keep some code simple. Um, I kind of want to merge this before I try that out, but I guess I don't have to if we're not relying on any of that old code here. Um, oh, this was successful anyway, so uh, you can create a new destination, and both would call the same content composable. Then just navigate to one or another if it's big screen. Yeah, I think you're onto something here. So I'm just going to hope I don't break my app, and I'm just going to merge this. Um, because everything else was good for it. So okay, let's clean slate here. We're gonna go to development. We're gonna pull. Let's check out a new branch, and let's call this add task dialog large screen. Whatever. Okay, so I guess yeah, let's start by converting this screen to a dialog, and then testing that we can launch that, and then we'll do the screen size logic. Um, I think if you do it that way, it won't change between the two modes when folding, unfolding the screen. Yeah. Um, okay, so let's think about whether or not there's anything that needs to change about the way this works. And I think the answer is no. Um, because what does this do? Yeah, because our add task content takes in the view state, it takes in the callbacks, and it does whatever. So anything can create this. This can be created from our add task screen, which is, whoops, movable content. Hmm. So this could be created from our add task screen, or um, from like a dialog. I wonder I wonder if this is a good use case for box with constraints. Are y'all familiar with that? So box with constraints. This is in the docs I just shared, actually. Let me share this in chat. Let's talk about box with constraints. Um, so I think it's in here. Yes. So there's I like this clarification. If you want to change where or how content is displayed, you can use a collection of modifiers or a custom layout to make it responsive. This could be as simple as having some child fill all of the available space or laying out children's with multiple columns. If you want to change what you show, you can use box with constraints as a more powerful alternative. This composable provides measurement constraints that you can use to call different composables based on the space that is available. However, this comes at some expense as box with constraints defers composition until the layout phase when these constraints are known, causing more work to be performed during layout. So, um, wait, sorry, I'm just catching up on chat. I believe the dialogue approach is not the best either way. I don't see a screen adapting between a dialogue and a normal screen. Um, it'd feel weird in practice. Yeah, so I agree, but I think this stream is perfectly about experimentation, and we have branches for a reason. We can choose not to merge any of this. So here's an example where, like, we could create a card that has like box with constraints, and then if our max width is small, we just show a column with like an image title. Otherwise, we show like a row. We could do the same thing, but instead showing like a dialogue if necessary. So, um, that's what I'm thinking here. So, um, but I don't know if that is the answer. Um, well, if that is, I don't know if that lives here. Um, No, I don't want box with constraints because that makes sense if I'm like dealing with the same hierarchy level, but I guess if I'm saying between a dialogue versus a navigation event, um wait, but Raphael, you're saying if you navigate to a dialogue. I think part of this is not knowing how dialogues work in Compose. Um, isn't there a library for this? Don't I use it? compose material dialogues. I don't have the maybe I should look at this. Um, do I need this or can I just create my own dialogue and compose? Let's look this up. I actually don't know. I think that's part of it. I have no idea how dialogues work in compose. Um, I don't know if there's a default composable or not for a dialogue. I can check. Let me just try typing this out here. There is a dialogue. Um, or we go with it, but we'll not adapt between dialogue and non-dialogue. That's just fine for tablets with not quotables. Right, because you're saying, so what you're saying, if we go with your initial approach, is that if I'm on a phone that is collapsed and I expand it, that I will not then switch to a dialogue, is what you're saying. Because I will just see what was already rendered. I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with that. Um, we could use a slight combination. We could use the adaptive width modifier on our composable so that if the screen version is rendered, we can adapt the width. So that would work on a foldable. If I go from collapsed to expanded, I still center it. But if I start on a large screen, I would go to a dialogue. We could test all of these cases. That would be really good. Um, so let's okay. So we can create a dialogue by basically just doing um, on dismiss request. We would do something. Oh my god. In that case, you want to use a style in the destination annotation. Oh god. Okay. Okay. Here's how I want to approach this. As and I'm talking out loud as a streamer, sharing my perspective into development here, because the truth answer is I like have no idea how I'm going to do this. So here's how I start doing things where I have no idea what the hell I'm going to do. Um, is trying to take a problem like this and boil it down to the parts that I'm confused about. So what I don't know, what I'm trying to figure out is how do I display a dialogue in Jetpack Compose? So the way I would tackle something like this is throwing all the conditional logic outside the window, and I am going to replace the existing add task navigation um, to just always be a dialogue. That's how I'm going to start. I'm going to replace this with a dialogue. Once I know that I can get that to work, then I'm going to work on the more complicated if-else logic. So let's start there. Um, so, great question being, I guess, where do we begin? So let's see if we can find dialogue Jetpack Compose example. Well, maybe there's one in here. I don't want alert dialogue. I just want a regular dialogue. Maybe the docs have an explanation. Where do I want? Yeah. Yeah, let's look at the actual docs for this. Um, opens a dialogue with the given content. The dialogue is visible as long as it is part of the composition hierarchy. In order to let the user dismiss the dialogue, the implementation of onDismiss request should contain a way to remove the dialogue from the hierarchy. I see. Um, One is make a dialog destination or screen, then that dialog becomes a destination of your navigation graph. So if I do that, um, I mean, let's try that. I think that was something you said that I could do with compose destinations. So if I go to our add task screen, this is a destination. So if I give this a style of dialog, um, let's find out what this does. I have no idea. Let's find out. Um, that's it. Okay, interesting. Will this then show up on top of the other content? Or no, because it's a new destination? Okay, so that's cool. That's step number one. I think, though, that I would want to consider that other approach. Uh, okay, this worked. I might want to consider a background then. Um, I'm also surprised. I'm surprised this is not like fully centered. Um, okay, but I guess what I wouldn't want about the reason I wouldn't want this is because this annotation processing happens at build time, right? I can't, unless you know something I don't, I can't provide a style conditionally, in which case, yes, this could work. But otherwise, I would need to go with that second approach where I either show the dialogue or your idea is to have two destinations. That could work, but I'm worried about having duplicated code here. Um, Unnecessarily duplicated code. You know what I mean? Um, well, let's duplicate it and then yeah, let's duplicate it and then let's see. So let's leave that as it is, and let's copy this. And but I guess it's like here. So if I made this add task dialog, I get a style. Um, these basically they have all the exact same code inside them, but I guess I don't know. I guess that's fine. Um, because they are two different screens, and the bulk of the logic is hidden here in content. Um, yeah, you're right. I could extract all this out. Um, yeah. So now they just call add task container. Beautiful name, right? Um, okay. I can work with this. Let's clean up the file organization here. I'm going to make this public. I'm going to take this container and I'm going to put that um, inside here and inside its own file. Um, and let's give this some docs. So this will say a container for the add task screen. Unlike add task content, this is a stateful composable that can consume a view model and navigator. Uh, this is used to share code that um, appears in two destinations, the add task screen and add task dialog. Okay, so that's good. We'll go back into add task screen. Let's document this. We'll say this destination is used when we want to show a full screen. Is it full screen? A Yeah, an individual screen that allows the user to create a new task. Um, this destination is very similar to add task screen, but will present the information or present the form to add a task as a dialog instead. And this can also go live in its own file. Um, Add task dialog. Okay, documented. Nice. Let's go in here, clean up our imports. So um, then what we can do is F6 to move to new file. Learn something new every day. Um, so we can go into our task list screen and aha. So here we navigate to the add task screen destination. Here we can do the add task dialog destination. Um, I might need to build first. Yep, let's build so we can get that generated. Um, and we'll keep using yeah, I'm learning new stuff every day. Like I love sharing things with IDE tricks. Like there's so many. There's so many. Uh, uh yeah, okay. Now I should be able to import that. Cool. So I'm gonna keep this for now. Again, still not adding the if logic because I wanna fix this. Um I wanna fix this. So the first thing is I think my add task content needs to have um a background to it. So we can put that in the add task content that maybe um, where I wrap everything in a box, um, should this be a surface? Will I break? Um, I could. I could, and that's what I'm wondering. Will I break the other thing? Oh, I used a box because I want that aligned. Well, I could also, as like a super click solution, because I can just do modifier.background color equals material theme dot color scheme dot background. Let's try that. Um, I could add it only to the dialog destination, but I think. Oh, does that break that? No, that's still right. Um, let's see what we get here. Okay. Um, all right. So having seen this, I can understand how this UI ended up the way that it did. So there's a couple things that we need to do here, and actually, maybe this does mean that I do some things differently, um, or the dialogue because I now want. This is interesting. Hold on. So add task content. Does this really not? Why can't this render now? What did I break? Oh, this seems to be an IDE issue. Um, I'm wondering why there's no padding at all. Um, I also don't know why it's so much longer. Um, is that my fault? Am I setting? Oh, I might be. Hold on. There's the culprit. Well, that's one. Is Oh, well, okay. So I'm passing in like padding. I'm passing in status bars padding. That's why it's shifted down. Um, because it's like taking it back. Okay, you're right. So I think that the container should consume the content modifier. Um, and then in the dialogue, I could give it a different modifier. Uh, that would fix the issue. Okay, so let's go back here to the content and let's keep that how it was. Um, let's go to our container and let's allow the caller to give it a modifier. And so we're going to take this modifier that we already have, and we're going to put that in the screen destination. And let's clean up our code here. Um, we're going to do something very similar. I'm just going to copy this whole thing. Let's go to the dialogue version and let's do that. But let's think about this. So instead of fill max size, I guess I wonder what would happen if I left that out. Um, the padding. So this is interesting. The padding is getting applied, I think, but the problem is, do I need to apply the background before the padding? That might be part of it, because I know order matters. And I can get rid of status bars padding. Let's try this. This might be enough. Set the background, add some padding. I'm not sure if the compose destinations gives it, if that style gives it spacing from the window background by itself. That might be true. Let's see what we get. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Second try. Nailed it. Um, yeah, this looks great. Um, so that would be the phone. Heck, I could keep this on the phone, honestly. Um, and before I change the whole app on something that was designed for tablets. No, that's fine. Let's commit what we have here. So adding add task dialog destination. But let's do the conditional logic for live screens. I think that would be really good. Um, and then we could also write some cool unit tests for this, which I think would be nice. Oh, interesting. That's pretty cool. Um, okay, so let's see. Hmm. You know when you register a destination with normal navigation? Yes, I haven't done that with Compose, but I've done that with like the existing library. Oh, oh, neat, neat. Oh, cool. Um, okay. So let's talk about the conditional logic, which is actually, yeah, thank you for coming by, Steve. I really appreciate it. Thanks for helping us get started on this. Um, okay, so let's go back to our task list screen here. So now, when the add button is clicked, we want to set our navigation conditionally, right? So destination being like if, just filling this in for now, if it's a large screen, we do add task dialog destination. Else, we do add task screen destination. And then we navigate to that destination. But the problem is, how do I do this? Um, because hmm, because I can't just like read the values like at this given moment. Um, and I don't want to do, I still don't want to do the window size approach for the same reasons we already discussed. Because, sure, maybe my window size is for a big screen, but, um, or is that okay in this example? You know what? In this example, it might be fine to use the window size because we're not talking about an adaptive individual component. We're talking about changing the root level composable. And that if my window size is large enough that I want to show a dialog. So even if the task list screen, let's say I'm in a two-pane layout. I guess that's the point. Okay, so if I'm in a two-pane layout, if I ever add that, and I add a task, we're saying even for a large screen, this should still be a dialog. So that is something that is based on the window size and not on the size of the task list screen. So now we need to talk about Window Manager and getting those actual metrics. So let's do that. Let's do that. So first thing we can do is add the dependency. Let's go ahead and do that. Build.gradle. Um, let's do implementation. And then we're going to have to um, add this. Let's do root project.exe.versions.window manager. Let's go into our versions.gradle file and window manager, which I think is just 1.0.0. Um, let's check that. Yes, that is the correct latest version. So we will do a sync. We could do box with constraints, but um, I think I want to. I think I want the dialogue to be based on the available space that the application itself has, and not just on words on the task list screen. Also, they talk about in the docs here that you should be careful about box with constraints because of some performance expenses, because it needs to defer composition until the layout phase. Um, but I don't really need that, right? So instead, I can just observe the window size, and then based on the window size, I will know what to do. Um, so how do we get the window size? Well, I'll tell you how I do it by copying a bunch of code. Yeah. Um, I am going to rip a bunch of code that I got from one of the Jet News samples, and then we will talk about it. So I'm going to go into Core UI and new file, and we're going to call this window size. But as always, even though I'm about to throw a bunch of code on screen, I will talk all of you through it. That did not copy and paste because that's just a link. Yeah, okay, there we go. Oh god, we're gonna have to import a bunch of stuff. Um, once everything imports, I'll walk you through it. So, okay, almost the same. So, two key things to learn about tracking window size in Jetpack Compose. The first thing is having an enum of the available window sizes. And these have these are the breakpoints that Google is opinionated about. So compact, most phones in portrait. Medium is foldables and tablets in portrait mode. Expanded is most tablets in landscape mode. And we figure out the class based on like the DP size available to the window. So if it's less than 0, they throw an exception. If it's less than 600, the same number we had earlier, it's compact. If it's less than 800, that's medium. And anything else, it's expanded. And then there's just some fancy stuff, which is basically, you know, compute the window metrics, and then uh, this remember basically tells Compose to hold on to it, and then it will let you know if that value changes. And if it does, we need to re-trigger composition. So here's where this gets annoying. And this might be a question maybe Raphael could help me with. So, um, does this have to be inside an activity? It does. So the problem is these composable functions that I ripped from Google are extension functions on activity. The problem is our task list screen, um, it's not, I don't have a reference to the activity here. So if I wanted to do something like, window size equals remember window size, like I can't. Um, so I did look at an interesting approach that I was steered away from by Steve, who was here earlier, which was using a local composition provider to keep track of the window size at like a high level. And then if you needed to within a composable to reference it, then you could. Um, and I could go back to that. Sorry, give me one moment. Um, but I don't know if that composition local provider is the way to go, but maybe it is in this case. Um, I could also do like local context.current and try to cast it as an activity, but I feel like that's bad. Um, so let's talk about how we could do a local composition provider if we wanted to. So we can create like this val and we call it like local window size. And we make this composition local of, and then we need to give it a default value. I would do window size dot compact. That's what I would make like my default value. So this could be a composition local for keeping track how you could pass something like that into the screen. I would love to know how you could do that if possible. Um, let's say 5 of our activity. So let's look at the activity, I guess. So let's start there. Maybe you can point me to this. So if I go to main activity, um, okay, so I'm in here, and then really anywhere in here, I could say, window size equals remember window size class. So is there a way in the nav host? Oh, is it dependencies container builder? Is that the parameter that I want to use? Lambda invoked when destination gets navigated to. It allows the caller to contribute certain dependencies that the destination can use. Neat. Um, that is a way. Okay. Is that what you would recommend? Good question. Um, I am using 0.9.4-beta. It hasn't been updated in a while. If there's a more recent version, I'm happy to update right now. Let me know what I should be using. Okay, what should I be using? 1.3.2 dash. Yep, that is the latest. Okay. Um, are there a bunch of breaking changes? Maybe. Um, is the what you were going to tell me different uh, in the newer versions? Let's get rid of this, by the way. Oh, this is red now. The other solution is to manually call your composable. Oh, I suppose that I could. Um, well, what if the reason I asked about the dependencies container builder is because that seemed like a really interesting approach, and that, like, what if other screens, other destinations care about window size? I can see that as a possibility, as something I would want to consider. So, if there's a way to, like, share those dependencies within the nav host, that does feel like a better idea. Yeah, okay. So how does it work? So let's type it out. So dependencies, container builder. After you do that, I want to test something. Um, why am I getting an error? Is this, do I need to rebuild? Let me rebuild my project. Maybe there's some weird caching issue here. Um, no, probably not. It's probably Android Studio caching. Um, almost certainly. Um, or maybe not. My Or maybe because I'm so far back that, like, maybe you changed something and I didn't realize it. But let's let it rebuild. Let's see what we get. How's everyone doing? Is everyone having a good week? Just waiting on Gradle builds. People are there's a small but slow up or a slow but sure uprising at work to try and get us all M1 MacBooks because of how much it could improve our build times. Um, some people are basically pointing out to leadership that, like, you save so much on build time that you save, like, at least an hour a day, and in like 3 weeks the MacBook is paid for itself. And so, like, we're hoping that that argument will work out. um, I would love it, but I'm running my old, like, 2018 MacBook, and this poor thing can't keep up with streaming. That, like, um, I'm kind of tempted. Well, I could have this stream from my gaming PC, but I have also considered, like, I mean, I should, because I've already dropped a lot of money on stuff. But I would love to just, like, buy, like, a super powerful development machine or something. This Gradle build's taking a long time. I did not expect it to take that long. Um, should we do a cube solve while we wait for this, just to do it? Um, because I don't know how to full time. Let's do that just for fun. I'll do one just for fun. Uh, oh, We redeemed it anyways. Nice. Okay. I will get a prediction going, and then I will do a warm up one as always. Um, so let's do how fast was cube. Uh, I'll give y'all 2 minutes to vote. Prediction starting, and I will do one practice one before I start. As always, oh, I'll move the camera in a second too. All right, let's pull this down. Put this down. Okay, this is the practice run. Ooh, this will be interesting. Okay, okay. What am I doing? Oh, I almost messed up. Oh no, I did mess up. Oh no, I messed up. My muscle memory is way off. We're not gonna count. Well, thank God that one didn't count. What am I doing? This one was all sorts of bad. Sorry. I'm gonna do two warm ups. That's what I did wrong. Okay. Alright. That one was slow. Also, does no one want to predict? Is it? That's fine. We can cancel the prediction. It's not a big crowd tonight, so that makes sense. Um we'll do one more fun. I know. I'm looking at yeah, was there? Oh, someone voted. Alright, so we're gonna have to do it. No, there was a prediction, but no one voted. Let me cancel it. Let me set a little longer time limit. Or I can do it again. Let me do it again. Because I guess people missed it. 2 minutes. Get your predictions in. I know y'all have channel points. I know y'all have them. If you don't, you can follow me and you'll get 300 channel points just for following me. Okay, so this is our second warm up. Because that first one was abysmal. So let's get this back here. And do oh god. What the hell is happening? I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. All right, 33. 33. All right. I don't know why I can't do this. Like, I'm only one beer in. One more warm up. One more warm up. I gotta get I gotta get under 30. My Grail build's probably been done for like 5 minutes now. But YOLO. Okay. One more warm up. We got this. This one's gonna be under 30, I believe. Okay, it was under 30. Whew. You don't see the prediction? Oh, it just ended again. Um, but there is a bet this time. There's only one. Is 2 minutes too short? Maybe 2 minutes is too short, but or maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's not showing up. Somebody bet. Somebody saw it. All right. Well, I'm going to do the one for that one person because somebody bet they deserve to have their channel points on the line. Maybe I broke Twitch. Yeah. Oh, that's so weird. Huh. All right. Well, this is for whoever that one person is. Can I see? Well, let me do that. No, it doesn't tell me. Um, but somebody bet. So this is for. Oh, it's for Prince. All right. This is for Prince to see what happens here. Um, oof, oof. All right. Well, Prince didn't have faith in me, and that was well chosen. I am off my game tonight. I don't know what's up with me. How did I go from? I got 20.26 seconds on last week's stream. So I'm off my game this week. But Prince predicted that. All right, let's go back to our. Ooh, okay. So do have a bug, Raphael. We have unresolved reference for default animation params. So did you change something about how animations work in the library? Um, I actually don't see animations in the nav host at all anymore. Did those get removed? Um, Not sure if he's still here, but I can. Is this like an old is this old news? Am I really far behind? Or oh no. um okay, I will comment these out for now. Um is there some new way to do it? We can talk about it later. I would rather just get this working again. So I'm happy to comment it out for now. I need to give it something. I need to give I need to define my own nav graph now? I'm gonna pull up your doc and I'm gonna look at the README because I am apparently oh god. I'm apparently quite behind. So here is the Compose destinations library that we've all been using, if y'all are unfamiliar with it. Just past navgraphs.root. Okay. Um, Looks like those imports changed. I see. Nice. So the imports are now, they use my root package now. That's cool. Um, nav host engine equals remember nav host engine. Okay. Let's see if we can. Put that here. Oh, engine. Um, Wait, does the engine have the... Hold on. I am so confused. I am so confused. I thought that was going to be about the animation stuff. Let me go back. For the Val Matheson. Oh, yeah, but the engine didn't have. Oh, there we go. Okay. Nav controller. Hold on. No, I'm following you. I'm following you. I got this. Remember animated nav controller. I'm using the one which doesn't have animations. Oh no. Okay. Um, let's add that then. Let's get the animations fixed, and then we'll come back to the other thing. Should I switch them, or can I use them both? Should I? Should I use them both? Switch? Okay. Um, do I still use the same KSP dependency? Got it. Okay. Okay, so here, is it still engine? Yep, remember animated nav host engine. Um, experimental. Um, okay, and then this has root default animations. I'm assuming that is what I would replace with all this stuff. Oh god. Um, root nav graph default animations. Okay, that looks good. It looks like I fixed it. Um, does this still work down here? Or this screen? Looks good. Let's run it. Let's see if I have anything else that broke. And then we'll eventually come back around to um, the conditional logic. Um, I was thinking though, just thinking out loud on oh, yes. Tell me stuff while I wait. Check the last parameter of destination's nav host. Manual composable calls builder. Okay. This will offer a manual composable calls builder scope where you can make manual calls to specific destination spec composables which belong to this nav graph. This could be useful if you have some specific cases where you want to pass something to a specific screen that would not work. Compose runtime related classes, for example. Okay. Sorry, I have to fix these. Um, oh no. Okay, I have an embarrassing story that I just remembered like 5 days ago that I'm still cringing over this moment. So at my internship, I had an internship at an automotive software company, and I had my laptop, and I was out in like the garage doing some stuff on one of the cars, and someone came out to tell me that they were like doing some work on like the building and that like we may lose power or internet or whatever. And then I'm just like, I made some comment. I'm like, oh, so you're just telling me I should like save my work, blah blah. And then like, yeah. And then I was just like, I'm working on a laptop. Like it doesn't matter. Like I'm not in a rush to save my work because a power outage isn't going to shut off my portable computer. But like my brain was just set in my ways of like, oh, I better save this in case my machine like falls apart. Um, Okay, but so Raphael's point, the reason I don't think using dependencies builder will work is that you can't pass stuff attached to the composed runtime. The issue is that your screens won't react when the window changes, I believe, but we should test it. Will manual calls react if the information changes? Because that's actually a really good point. That is something I would want. Would it? That is something I would want to happen. I would want to know if that information changed. Okay, so I'll use manual calls then. Um, is there an example? Like, what do I do here? So what does this give me? So this gives me the builder. Um, so what are my options here? So do I want to reference the composable? Um, is there an example? Not in the README. Is there an example somewhere in your code? How do I know what destination to use though? Or um, okay, so this will only trigger when that destination happens, and then what? I give it so then I call it myself. Task list screen like this. Um, can I get the navigator from uh this destination scope? Destinations navigator. Nice. Okay. Um, okay. So let's change this to then also consume window size. Okay. Um, this all seems good. So then here we can say if window size is, let's say, expand. Do I do this for medium or just for like expanded for like tablets? Let's do expanded. Um, if it's medium, we can keep it as is. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that. Let's say for anything other than phones. If it's not equal to compact, we want to go to the dialog. Else, go to the screen destination. Um, okay, so This seems good. So we could test this by running on. Let's run on our Pixel C. Well, we'll have to fire one up, but let's run on that. Also, oh no, my computer is taking in more or using more battery than um, it's getting from the power outlet. So that's fun. So I hope my stream doesn't die. Start destinations cannot have mandatory navigation arguments. Um, that's fair, I guess. Is that fair? Um, I feel like that is. I can see why you would do that, but I don't know if that's. Should I? Can I give it a default? It's window size is an enum. Should I give the composable a default? Um, that story earlier seems more relevant now. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Okay. And then, yeah, so I think once I get this working, I will probably call it a stream. Um, Unfortunately, I don't know what I can close. Well, I can close visor because I don't need that um, if this is running. Oh, I don't know. My freaking battery monitor is now telling me a different number. I probably just need a new MacBook if I'm honest. Um, Classic. Okay, why is this yelling at me? Is this wrong? Ooh. Oh, do I give it a route instead of a destination now? Okay, maybe that's all that was. Oh no, did I break it? You should give a direction. Let me look at the one ahead. Oh, but this one technically does have args. Um, because I can go from the login screen to the task list screen. Um, but I basically hid the login screen from view right now. So, um, if that's not the right behavior, I'm technically fine with it. Invoke it then. So what do I do, like this? Okay, and it can use the default. I'm okay with that for now. Nice. Okay. Still building, still building. Um, I probably should pass something. Or do I not have to pass it because the manual calls builder will then look for it later? I see. Okay. Okay, we built. We're running. Let's make sure this can let's rotate this. Okay, I see. Um okay, so when I hit add, we have a dialog. Nice. Ooh, yeah, okay, we're gonna have to fix that. So I'm gonna run this on my phone real quick and make sure that, so on my phone, I should not get the dialogue. Let's commit this just in case it's working. So conditionally navigating to dialogue based on size. Okay, and on my phone, I do in fact get the screen. So let's push that. Let's also let's go to our test list screen real quick. Um, into our content. I want to go um, into here. We'll get there eventually. Hold on. Um, empty section card. On the cards, we're going to say fill max width. And I just want to make sure that works. And if it does, we can get a pull request coming. And I will get ready to wrap up the stream because I don't want my computer to die in the middle here. Navigating to add task dialog screen based on window size. So if not a compact device, show a dialog, otherwise navigate to screen version. Go to design, this can go into, we could put this in the, this can go in design branding, I guess. No, this one, yeah, that's fine. Create the pull request. Something errored on me. Why? That just seems like a small bug. I want to run on Pixel C again. Okay. And if this looks good, I will get ready to wrap up. It's not 9:30. We will see if there's someone we can go raid. Nice. Um, empty state is now like full width there, so that looks a lot nicer. Um, I'm really happy with the work we did today. This is pretty cool. So thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate it. Let's switch over to this screen. Yeah, thank you all for joining me. Had a lot of fun. We did some adaptive UIs, some conditional navigation as well. Oh yeah, happy birthday. Thank you for hanging out with me on your birthday. I don't know what I did to deserve that. Um, this one's for you. Cheers. All right, and now that I finished my drink, I can definitely be done streaming. So, oh no, I don't have a water with me. So I will count my intoxicate as a hydrate. Thank you, Derpy. That's a great name. Let's see if there is someone we can raid.